On this week's edition of the Left Bench TV, spring practice is in full swing for the Maryland football team.
The Maryland tennis team celebrated Senior Day this Sunday for their last home game of the season.
Maryland fans' reactions to Bruno Fernando and Anthony Cowan's big announcement. The Left Bench TV starts now.
A pivotal point in the season for spring sports teams here in College Park. Welcome to another edition of the Left Bench TV. I'm Rachel Hirschheimer.
And I'm Noah Gross. It's actually one winter sports team, though, who's really making headlines. After the men's basketball team had that heartbreaking loss to LSU in the NCAA tournament, all eyes around the program really turned to next year and what the team would be looking like.
Yeah, and Noah, arguably the three most important players of the Maryland basketball team, we got Bruno Fernando, Anthony Cowan Jr., and Jalen Smith. They may be going pro, so it's going to be really interesting to see what they decide in the coming weeks.
And let's start with the veterans of that group. Bruno Fernando and Anthony Cowan, just on Monday, both decided to test the pro basketball waters, declaring for the NBA draft. The Baltimore Sun and Washington Post are reporting that Cowan and Fernando are also signing with agents as they begin to go through the draft process. Now, a few years ago, this would mean that the two could not return to school, but thanks to NCAA rule changes, student athletes can still sign with agents and then return back to school as long as they do so 10 days after the end of the NBA draft combine, which goes from May 14th to May 19th. Fernando and Cowan Jr. led the Terps in scoring this past season, averaging a combined 29 points per game. Bruno was also the team's leading rebounder, while Cowan tallied the most assists. Take a look at pretty much any stat category for the Terps, and you won't be shocked to see either Cowan Jr. or Fernando's name. Safe to say, they are two of Maryland's biggest impact players, crucial to their NCAA tournament run just last month.
And this is obviously big news that can drastically change the direction of Maryland basketball. After finishing the season strong, coming in 5th place in the Big Ten, this can change everything for next year. Here's how students were reacting on campus after hearing the news.
I think it's a good idea for them. I mean, obviously they were standouts this year. We'll see in the long run if that was a good choice for both of them. But, I mean, like, come on now, Bruno was, like, leading multiple times in stats, so I think it's a good move for them.
I know a lot of people are upset, like, thinking about the fact that he might leave because they kind of carry our team.
I didn't know that, but that's awesome. Congrats. Big deal. Go Maryland, go Terps.
I would say good for them, you know, like good for them personally, right?
Yeah.
The chance to make money. Like, it's sad for the university in the sense that they don't have those players anymore, but at the end of the day, you gotta look out for yourself, I think.
Yeah, really good for them though. Like, I don't know, we should probably be happy for them. I guess it's not great for us, but go them for doing bigger, better things.
It's exciting. The players are on to like newer and bigger things. They'll definitely be missed by the Maryland basketball program, but congratulations.
I don't know, good for them. I think Maryland will still survive without them, you know. We have good recruiting and a good program behind them.
They're really big parts of the team's success. They really are like amazing talents, Bruno especially. It'll be interesting to see how we fill up the spots that they're leaving in the roster with the incoming class.
There's a lot of uncertainty looming over Maryland Hoops fans for the next few weeks, but they can at least cross off one name off their NBA draft boards.
Yeah, Rachel, big news for Terps fans. Jalen Smith will be returning to College Park for his sophomore season, a huge development for Mark Turgeon's team that could potentially lose Smith's front court partner. Jalen, who was on the Big Ten all-freshman team, averaged 11.7 points and grabbed nearly 7 rebounds per game as a freshman. The former McDonald's All-American really came on strong late in the season, including leading the Terps in scoring in their second-round loss to LSU. Smith was seen by most NBA scouts as a little bit too raw and having a pretty small frame. A lot of draft boards were projecting him to be a second-round pick or even go undrafted.
And the college basketball world is taking notice, especially with the return of Jalen Smith. How about this? We still have a lot of time until the new season arrives, but in many early season rankings for next year, your Maryland Terrapins, well, they're in the top 10.
Now, it's not clear how Anthony Cowan Jr. and Bruno Fernando declaring for the draft will really affect those rankings, but if the Terps are ranked in the AP Top 10 at the beginning of next season, it'll be just the second time since their national championship run of 2002 that they have done so.
Well, the last time they began a season in the top 10, well, that was 2016, which was also the last time Maryland has made the Sweet 16. And with just 2 regular season games left, the Maryland men's lacrosse team's chance at another championship is looking promising. Sunday night, Maryland took on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Trailing behind 9-6 in the first half of play, Terps defense was weak, but with adjustments that Coach Tillman made in the offense, the team battled hard to defeat the Scarlet Knights. Jared Bernhardt, Bubba Fairman, Anthony DeMeo, and Louis Dubik each scored 3 goals, leading the team to a victory, winning 16-13. The Terps are now ranked number 2 in the country and will now face off against Ohio State on Saturday in Columbus and will be back in College Park for the huge rivalry matchup against Johns Hopkins April 27th. And sticking to the lax field, the women's lacrosse team continued their undefeated season on Senior Day against Michigan. The Wolverines got off to an early start, dashing past senior goalie Megan Taylor, but Terps, well, they had nothing to worry about. 10 minutes later, they would start the scoring party with senior Jen Giles putting up 4 goals, and later on the scoring party continued. Maryland would go on to score 9 goals in a row, a bittersweet moment for the seniors. Terps win 14-3. And last week, the Terps also faced number 6 ranked Northwestern, who came into the game undefeated in the Big Ten. These 2 teams have had a history with one other chance, facing the Big Ten championship and the NCAA tournament in the past. However, it was Maryland who came out on top, defeating the Wildcats 17-13. Senior Caroline Steele leading the charge with goals.
And Rachel, the women's team gets to play on national TV again this Wednesday when they take on Georgetown on Fox Sports 1. And it's really both teams right now, men's and women's, who are really clicking at the right time.
Yeah, now both ranked in the top 2 in their respective sports, and a huge reason for both of the team's success. For the seniors, the Left Bench TV's Sam Payer took an in-depth look into why the senior class for the men's and women's teams are so special.
It was senior night here in College Park, and fans packed Capital One Stadium to watch both men's and women's lacrosse teams take on Michigan. The action-packed doubleheader did not disappoint, and as both teams took home a win, there was much to celebrate. The seniors were honored by their teammates, coaches, and family members before the games, and were able to reflect on their time spent here as Terps.
I'm just looking forward to the rest of the season. Coach says it a lot. The train gets going, and when it finally stops, you just get kicked off. So, just getting another day with the guys is just amazing.
I was really proud of how we came out and started attacking and didn't let that hold us back the rest of the game, and just came out positive and playing for each other.
Coaches Kathy Reese and John Tillman got the chance to discuss the highlights of their games and share some memories of the past years with their seniors.
You're so proud of them, and you're just so appreciative of all the things that they've done for the program. When you have guys like that in your locker room, you embrace every day, and you realize like every day is one day less you get with them.
Because we have such a fantastic group of seniors, and it's a lot of emotion. The team really celebrates them pregame. I've got 10 phenomenal women to celebrate, so it was a great day to do that.
The talent and determination of these players will surely be missed in College Park. For the Left Bench TV, I'm Sam Payer.
Thanks, Sam. With the season coming to a close, there's still a lot of lacrosse to look forward to, starting May 2nd when the Big Ten tournament kicks off.
Well, after losing 3 straight weekend series, the Maryland baseball team has been stumbling a little bit, but they've turned it around as of late. The Terps took 2 of 3 last weekend from Illinois and Champaign, and this week they returned home for a pair of midweek games where they took down William & Mary, but lost to West Virginia. Then they headed back to the Midwest, where they again won 2 of 3, this time from the Northwestern Wildcats. The Terps crushed the ball at the plate, tallying 32 runs on the weekend in the 3-game series. Maryland now has a pair of midweek games this week before welcoming the Ohio State Buckeyes this weekend.
Well, the Maryland softball team had a busy weekend in Bloomington, taking on the Hoosiers at Andy Moore Field. Game 1, Terps had to buckle down and battle hard against top pitcher Tara Traynor, but this one kind of set the tone for the series. Just after 2 innings, Indiana led the game 5-0, making it hard for Maryland to make a comeback. This would be their 5th loss in the past 6 games. And on Saturday, Game 1 of the doubleheader, Terps came out on top in the first inning, kicking off with a 3-0 early jump from a Sammy Stefan RBI single, adding to that a 2 RBI single from Taylor Wilson, helping to clinch the first game of the day. Terps win 4-3. Game 2, Hoosiers offense was all over Maryland pitcher trio Sydney Golden, Sammy Main, and Victoria Galvin. They all took a stab at the Hoosiers' bats, but were all unfortunately overpowered. Terps fall 10-1 and drop the series 2-1. The Maryland softball team comes back to College Park this weekend to take on the Nittany Lions for a 3-game series.
And while a lot of other football programs around the country have already had their spring football game, Terp fans have to wait just 2 more weeks for Maryland to have theirs. And the now Mike Loxley-led team has been training and getting ready for their spring game. The Left Bench TV's Zach Solon has been keeping up with the Terps and how they're getting ready in the offseason.
The Maryland football team has been outside taking advantage of the off-season sun, and Coach Mike Loxley has so far been pleased with his new team's performance.
I feel really good about both units, with our ones out there and a few players that have played both ones and twos. And then I also feel good about the work that we've been able to get accomplished on special teams.
This past Saturday, the team practiced inside Maryland Football Stadium and held a close scrimmage, giving Loxley and his staff a chance to observe.
I thought we got some really good work. The coaches are off the field. The players were on the field. We spotted the ball and just let those guys go play. And we really saw some guys step up and make some plays.
The team will play their annual spring game on April 27th, but Loxley says there is still some work to be done before that day.
We do need more guys to step up and take the next step so that we can develop depth and on all 3 phases, offensively, defensively, and special teams.
Loxley continued to say that while some players look ready to compete in the Big Ten soon, others could use some more reps out on the field.
Right now, our one unit has really shown some consistency at playing at the type of level that we want our guys to play. And what we've got to do these next 6 practices, the next couple of weeks that we have, is bring the 2s up and get those guys competing a little better.
The 2019 college football season is just a few months away. The Terps will open the season at home against Howard University on August 31st. For the Left Bench TV, I'm Zach Solon.
All right, thanks, Zach. And the football program will likely play that first game without a key player. Senior defensive back Antoine Richardson, who started 10 games for the Terps last year, tore his ACL in practice a little bit earlier in the offseason. The Florida native was expected to be a key returner for Maryland, but now it looks like he will miss the upcoming season.
And while the football team is looking ahead to a new season, they're also taking the time to remember the passing of a Terp football legend, Walter White, an All-American tight end in 1974. He died last Wednesday from pancreatic cancer. He was 67 years old, and in his time at Maryland, White racked up 930 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns. He was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1975 and went on to play for the Chiefs before retiring and then becoming a major supporter of the Kansas City community. And while the Maryland's gymnastics team experienced a lot of highs and lows this season, Coach Brett Nelligan said he's proud of all the things that they accomplished this year. Last weekend, the team ended their season at the NCAA Regional Tournament hosted by the University of Georgia. On the floor, sophomores Audrey Barber and Sabria Rouse led the team with scores of 9.825s, and on vault was where the team just thrived. The squad earned one of Maryland's highest vault scores of the season, with Barber and junior Alicia Farina both top scorers. On the bars and beams, Barber and sophomore Emily LeBlanc were the highest scorers for those categories. The squad ended up in 4th place at their last tournament, ending with 17 wins and an 8-1 record at home.
Well, the tennis team had a very busy weekend at home, hosting both Michigan State and Michigan. The Terps weren't able to win either day, but were able to celebrate 2 seniors who played their final home matches Sunday. TLB-TV's Annabelle Janssens was there for the action.
The Maryland tennis team is winding down their season with their last home match today against number 14th ranked Michigan. And while they didn't win, it was senior day and spirits were kept high with Arnell Sullivan and Millie Strennan being honored. Terps getting ready for today's tough matchup against the Wolverines, who won their last 8 matches. Starting with doubles duo Millie Strudden and Ava Alexandrova shows us what they're about. The dynamic duo was ranked an impressive number 22 in the nation last year. For the singles matches, Zoe Colkearney held nothing back. The sophomore with a record of 5-10 in singles went in with a hard fight, but fell short against Michigan. Senior Arnell Sullivan played for her last home match ever. Sullivan was a force for the team throughout her 4 years, being part of the 2016-2017 team that won the most matches in Maryland history. Ava Alexandrova also played hard, the sophomore not holding back but couldn't pick up the win. While Maryland fell short, it was a special day to honor the seniors.
I think passion for tennis, passion for Maryland, for just being part of this team. I think they went above and beyond, both of them, and I think they're always competed they're irreplaceable in that regard, and I think honoring them would be showing them that we can compete just as good as they do.
The Terps will hit the road next weekend for their last matches against Purdue and Indiana. For the Left Bench TV, I'm Annabelle Janssens. Thanks for watching.
While the tennis team is having a down season relative to last year where they did have 11 wins, like Annabelle mentioned, they do have a chance to finish on a high note next weekend against 2 conference opponents.
The Maryland men's and women's golf teams are heading back to campus from successful tournaments on the road. The men's team was in Cary, North Carolina at the Stitch Intercollegiate, and even though only 36 holes were played Saturday due to inclement weather, junior Peter Nate finished in the top 15, scoring a 143, and junior Christian Park tied for 24th, shooting a 145. And in Columbus, Ohio, Varun Pat Olin Kunkai led the women's team, coming in second place out of 74 golfers, shooting a 216 on the weekend, and right behind her was junior Ziolan Tian, who shot a 226.
It was a big weekend for the track and field team from coast to coast. Greg Thompson was out west and was the top collegiate finisher at the Triton Invitational in discus. Back east in Baltimore, Carolina Gelly, Emily McAllister, and Jasmine Tiamfouk all finished in the top 5 in their respective distance races at the Hopkins Invite. William Jones finished second in the 1,500-meter run as well. Then Saturday at the Bucknell Bison Classic, Alexandria Lucky set a Maryland record for the 5,000-meter, which had stood for 32 years, also leading to first place in the event. All right, Rachel, so the track and field teams really all over the country, and as were most teams this past weekend, Terps are really everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, from Pacific Coast to back here on the Atlantic Coast, Maryland was making an impact, and it's one lacrosse standout up in Piscataway, New Jersey, who takes home the title of Terp of the Week. Leading us to junior lacrosse captain Jared Bernhardt. After scoring 5 goals and putting up 3 assists against the Wolverines last week, he had a huge game, tying his career-high point total in a game. Bernhardt is the 3rd Terp since 2000 to have a hat trick in 5 consecutive games. All of this led to him being awarded Big Ten's Co-Offensive Player of the Week. Hats off to him.
And now to the pros. Former Terp Brandon Lau representing on the diamond with this mammoth 2-run homer, landing all the way up there at Rogers Center in Toronto. That one put the Rays up 4-0, who have been great this year. Lau had another dinger in that one for his first career multi-home run game.
And another former Terp and all Big Ten honoree, David Coker, celebrated his 23rd birthday present on Saturday with one of the biggest victories of his professional golf career at the 3rd PGA Tour Series China event. He won a playoff against Yuya Kosaria of Japan. Well, it doesn't get much better than as a Terps fan unless you're into soccer. Former Terps defender Donovan Pines made his Major League Soccer debut Saturday night for his hometown club, DC United, against the Colorado Rapids. Pines held his own against the Rapids, playing the full 90 minutes, and he even notched his career assist high on a Luciano Acosta goal in the first half. Quite a start to Pines' pro career.
Rachel, how about that? Donovan Pines wins a national championship, gets signed to his hometown club, has a great debut. But I want to talk about the Rays here. So Brandon Lau really impacting for them, having a great season so far. They're really hot. Are you worried about them as a Yankees fan?
I am not worried about them. As a Yankee fan, we got Aaron Judge. He's my man. We're fine.
Cocky like every Yankees fan.
No, we're not.
It's fine. I'll allow it here.
Well, that's all we have right now for this edition of the Left Bench TV. I'm Rachel Hirschheimer.
And I'm Noah Gross. Thanks for watching. Make sure to keep up with all of our coverage by following the Left Bench on Facebook and Twitter. We'll see you next time for our last show of the semester.